Thank you for joining Lucky on tonight's Comic Talk DC edition. We're going to be talking about Nightwing issue 3, Green Arrow number 5, Justice League number 3, and the number 1 of the Unlimited Deathstroke Rebirth. These are all actually a part of the Rebirth series. And you might as well call Nightwing number 3, or the Nightwing series so far, Mickey D's, because I'm loving it. I am. I like where it's going. I like how there's a bit of espionage to it. It throws a little bit of a different spin on some of the Batman familial. We'll go with that. Tendencies we see from the different offshoots that has become the franchise that is Batman, with Batman, Barbara Gordon, tendencies, and little production error on our end. Sorry about that. Those wacky kids and their cell phones. Anyway, I'm also looking forward to picking up 2 more titles to go along with this. The Rebirth of Cyborg, which will start this Wednesday, the 7th of September? Yeah, that's right. We're in September now. I should remember that a little bit better. Sound like one of those bums that had a stroke and I can't remember what year I'm in. Anyway, Batman Beyond also picks up towards the end of this month. So I'm going to be adding those to the DC repertoire. I also have some more exciting news as far as the other comics go, but I'll wait until the Deadpool show and the Marvel comic talk to, start pushing that idea. Right now is, I know this dude's favorite brand, DC Comics. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, talking about my favorite brand, my second favorite superhero right now.
Really? Second?
Nightwing has always been. Yeah, Nightwing has always been my number 2.
Yeah, that goes poo-poo.
Why?
Number 2 is the number of poo.
Oh.
Number 1, gold like the sun. Number 2, flush that poo down. I don't remember how that rhymes. And number 3 is set my sperm free.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, I have a different number 3, but that's neither here.
I'm not going to just throw him all the love because I don't want to be that biased. Green Arrow is still a great fucking read. And I love how I think we're starting to see a Team Arrow come into effect, where you get John Diggle back into the picture, the Black Canary, incident development with his sister, in issue number 5, where she's starting to reveal her true colors as opposed to the ones that have been painted on for her.
Okay.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like that a lot.
I gave it a 3.2 out of 5. Again, Green Arrow has always been near and dear to my heart. I like archery thing. That's shafts. Arrows have shafts, and so do I. So I always had that connection with that. The Nightwing number 3, I think. I already touched on how there's more of an espionage approach as opposed to Batman's detective approach, which, truthfully, we've really seen a departure from that being the core of Batman's character when Batman first started. You know, Batman was a detective. He was more like a private investigator than what he is today, the outright vigilante that just, you know, sodomizes people with bat wings. Still love him. I think Batfleck did a great job. But I'm looking forward to seeing where Nightwing goes now that you don't really see so much of his mentor in this. You know, where will his moral compass land post Batman's tutelage? Early in this series, we saw Batman say, "Hey, I trust your judgment," which is fucking nuts. How often does Batman say that to any fucking buddy?
Exactly. Well, and another thing that I think is a little interesting. You probably will know more as you've been reading it, but something like, for instance, a death of the family brings it up when Joker captures the entire Bat family. He mentions, as he's catching Dick Grayson, that one of his, because if you recall, spoiler alert, anybody who hasn't read this, the way that the Joker rounds up Dick Grayson is by poisoning the members of the circus.
Yeah,
he's owning and operating, and they attack him because he refuses, of course, to lay a finger on them.
Right.
So they beat the crap out of him and get him. And Joker points out that, you know, he never understood how Batman and Dick Grayson got along because they're sort of opposites.
Yeah.
Because whereas, you know, Batman's always like, I'm going at it alone, even though he's got the Bat family now. He's got several people there that go against his. So he keeps these.
One-man wolf pack.
Yeah, he keeps these people close to him just so he can push them away at the last second. Whereas Dick Grayson seems to actually truly believe in the ability, you know, that people are better as a unit.
Well, that, but you also go into the psychological aspect of Batman pushing away these people before they can be taken out of his life, whether it's through their own volition, as we've seen through the years, or them being murdered. So he prematurely says, "I'm done," and walks away. Whereas Dick Grayson had that family, and he held that with him. And Batman very early on became a surrogate father to him in ways that Alfred Pennyworth was never really able to be that father figure for him. Because there was always that degree of, you work for the family.
Yeah.
Whereas Batman, it was, I'm here because I want to be here, Dick.
Yeah, right.
Whereas, you know, Alfred had been with the Waynes for so long, you know, that feeling comes more from his Alfred serving his father, necessarily, and being a part of that debt that he feels that he owes Thomas Wayne, as opposed to necessarily Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where we see the biggest psychological difference in these two characters.
And it seems that the approach is different. I can't recall off the top of my head. I'm sure it's happened. I just don't think it's very regular for Batman to be sort of, you know, going undercover.
No.
First of all, as Bruce Wayne, you can't. He goes undercover as Bruce Wayne often.
Right.
You know, where he will get places where Batman can't go by being Bruce Wayne and using his money. But as far as you see it, if we're going outside of the canon and into the movie universe, you will see it in Batman Begins when he goes sort of undercover as a criminal.
Right.
But besides that, you don't see a lot of the spy craft from Batman. It's all detective work.
That, and the beautiful, this series has encapsulated it beautifully, because this conversation harkens back to the first, almost an episode, the first ish of the Nightwing Rebirth series, in that, you know, Dick Grayson's earliest training was as a troupe, as an acrobatic troupe, leaping into the darkness, knowing that there's going to be someone there to catch you. And that's where we see his dependence on Batman. Batman is the dark. I am the darkness, I am the bat. That kind of imagery where Batman has never really failed Dick Grayson. He's always been the oldest, boldest, and brightest son of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Until Damian Wayne, really. He never really had that connection with the other two Robins. The way that he, had with Dick.
Yeah.
That good old Dick.
No one liked Jason Todd.
No, the fans actually voted to kill him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which worked out for all of us, because the Red Hood's pretty awesome.
Yes, he is.
And Tim Drake was his problem. He was just too much of a Boy Scout, for the most part. It's his sort of...
Kind of.
Problem. And Dead again was, a good, hard-working Robin. But yeah, Dick Grayson was the only one that really had the sort of background that would allow for him to actually kind of be his own man. All the acrobatics, he was able to kind of have his own path, and with Bloodhaven, all that. Nightwing is one of my favorite characters. I like the way that Dick Grayson has progressed. I like the way that they use him in the video game series as well. I think we're getting to a point with this comic era that you almost start to need to include the video games, more so than the movies at least, but you need to include the video games as canon almost at this point. So many things in our comic world or in our movie world, like for instance, Harley Quinn came throughout the cartoon, the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
So, we got to consider that
first appearance was.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what.
Yeah.
And these video games, like for instance, what you might be able to clarify this one with me, but Injustice, the Gods Among Us, was that a comic first?
No.
No, but it's sort of like and that's like a separate. Again, one of those separate side stories from a video game, but the story is so cool. It's like you kind of have to find a way to adapt it into, the comic world. And I think the Arkham series has done that too with Batman, especially using so many of the animated voice actors and stuff.
Oh my god! Right? It's Mark Hamill.
It's so well done. I'm playing through Arkham Knight again right now just for fun. I finally have an Xbox, so
nice.
Yeah, I live vicariously. Got my Batman vicariously from now. But,
right.
And Nightwing, just a winner. I've got to read this series. It looks very entertaining.
It's here when you want to read it, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you borrow my movies. There are two rules when it comes to Lou borrowing shit out to people. Not my Blu-rays, not my comics.
I understand that. So, what other comic did you read that I can't borrow?
Justice League number 3, which I'm still... How's the best way to word paint this? I'm still intrigued by what's going on. The invasion has stepped up, but now we're starting to see more of an interaction between this invading force or army or armada, essentially. I mean, there's roughly tens of thousands of these creatures on Earth, let alone in space right now. We see the hive mind building these, I don't want to say, I don't know what you would call them. They're essentially getting these people and melding them into like a giant monster. It's really trippy. It is.
That is.
And Wonder Woman actually gets captured in this issue, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. I don't know if it's something that they did psychologically, like through a psychological influence, kind of like a Professor X kind of mind speak, or if they actually physically absorbed her. But she's not absorbed. She still has her consciousness. I don't know if they're trying to talk to her. That's kind of one of the cliffhangers of this issue. Is, where is Wonder Woman? Is she safe? Then we also, you have Superman attempting to go to the core of the Earth to enact part of Batman's plan. Well, Batman and Cyborg. So it's really gonna be interesting to see how Batman plays this out.
I gotta ask you, as I've been before we get to our favorite DC guy to see what Batman is going about in this Justice League, I have to ask: Aquaman doing anything?
He's holding Atlantis together.
Well, I mean, that's
because as it is above, so is it below sea level.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I tried to swear on that one.
Circle gets the square. But not to belittle the idea that, now, I understand running Atlantis is a full-time job here. Not to... You know that I have gone back and forth. I used to be the captain of Team Screw Aquaman, the world's most pointless.
Help me, Aquaman!
Yeah, you won't try that in here. So
throw some starfish at you, motherfucker.
But I have since kind of switched sides and thought that it's sort of our fault. Like, I am going to make it, it's on my bucket list now. Like, even if I end up having to draw it as sticks figures, I'm going to write my own Aquaman comic where we see how badass Aquaman is.
I'll put it this way. It is the hubris of man to think that a character that can interact in a planet that's 2/3 of water is just useless.
Right, but he kind of gets that vibe, though, right?
He totally does.
It's not something that we've created, but even in this series, you're how many issues in, and there's really not hopefully there's a big twist coming. There's something like either take Aquaman out of the Justice League or stop using him as just the throw in. Stop making him the Slipknot of the Justice League.
Well, and I think they would be better off if they played him up more in the same way that DC plays up Namor. As Namor kind of not being main canon, but there's still Namor. Right. And Namor does his thing underwater. Although Namor's a dick.
Well, I was just about to say, there's a big difference there, too, because Aquaman is almost the consummate good guy.
Yeah.
And Namor is more of your he's out for himself, and when his needs align with the good guys, then he's a good guy.
Definitely.
He's just out there taking care of his own, which...
More power to him.
More power to him, and I'm not one to suggest that comics should rip off of each other, although Deadpool turned out okay for everybody. But maybe Aquaman should be a little bit more about Atlantis and a little less about... if you're going to have him just be this side piece, at least have him be an interesting side piece.
I have some good news for you. With the earthquakes that this invasion started, it's been changing the global landscape all over. And they have been dealing with this underwater just as much as the people on land have been dealing with how much these global earthquakes have changed the landscape of the world. He's literally trying to keep that shit together. If it wasn't so bad underwater, he would be up on land. The only bright side for Aquaman is the fact that these creatures that have been taking over people's minds haven't made it underwater. But he's dealing with the natural disaster efforts and saving his own people at this point.
Also, just to throw in a little bit of our normal channel flavor, does this whole concept of mind-controlled beings and generated earthquakes, it feels like a little,
Oklahoma
might see this little predictive programming in comics.
Right. Well, yeah.
Someone will at least claim that is really what I'm
I
what I'm
think
getting
so
at.
to a degree.
Right? You see,
The sheeple.
what I have been digging about comics lately is their attention to the occult. They're just kind of like throwing stuff, like they're throwing modern, like conspiracy theory has become so pop culture that it's working its way into comics. Conspiracy theory in general. For instance, my 13-year-old little brother used the word Illuminati several times this weekend. Like, this is a kid who 2 years ago I was talking
Thought
to
you were a weirdo.
Thought I was a weirdo and a kook and a crazy person, and now without any of my influences telling me things about the Illuminati that he knows as a 13-year-old.
Oh,
and
shit.
so, but this is what I'm saying is like, it's because
little Donnie's growing up.
Yeah, he's more like me than he thinks, poor kid.
Right.
But it's just interesting to me to see it, and it's because it's in these pop culture things. It's because of pieces like the Green Arrow right now and all the occult symbolism they're mentioning, and
the man with the Mars face.
Yeah,
the Mars mask and Venus.
Yep.
And
Captain America with the Hydra and stuff. Like, they are slapping the occult into the pages, and it's putting together with some great artwork. And now it seems like Justice League is doing it. Like, DC, at the very least, DC is seeming to be kind of diving into this, and I think it's cool. Whether you want to believe it or say it's predictive programming or not, I think it's just cool that here is part of our world, part of today's society, and it's worked its way into comics. And that's what we love about comics, is they do find a good way, despite being in these crazy, far out, unbelievable worlds, they find a good way to reflect the world that we live in today.
Definitely. That's when we had the Silver and Bronze Age. It was such a carnival mirror of society that it broke off for that whole imagination. And what we're starting to see out of the Golden Age, I think I got that wrong. When was Golden Age?
Yeah, you said, I think you meant to say silver and gold, and because we are in the Bronze Modern Age.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Whereas we're seeing in the past, I'll just say the past two generations of comics, we're starting to see it mirror and mimic society more. And from the older ones, we're starting to see the parallel of not society. You know, what life is like in this alternate reality. Whereas the reality is starting to mirror our reality more closely these days. I also will throw in a little bit of a teaser at the end of this episode for a different series that I'm going to be commenting on. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to getting your help.
Mine or America's?
Your help, as in you, Kevin.
Oh, okay.
You beautiful golden bastard. And throw that on the back burner. Let's get on to our DC stuff, because we kind of broke off there for a little bit. Deathstroke, #1 of the Unlimited series. Whereas the last review was the annual, which is a yearly one that drops. There's always the annual #1 every year for the really popular shit. It's just a little extra flavor that they like to put out. Excuse me. This #1 of the Deathstroke Rebirth Unlimited series had a little bit of everything. Guns, funs, and buns.
There was some sexy time in it?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. We saw Deathstroke literally get into a fist fight with his old lady that ends up with them fucking.
Man, if I had a nickel for every time that happened to me.
Right? That sounds like my ideal marriage. Punch me harder, bitch!
So Slade gets some.
Slade gets some, and he saves the people that he said he was going to save.
So they have moved Deathstroke from opportunistic merc to he's just like more on the good guy side these days?
I wouldn't say that.
So they are still finding ways to keep him sort of in his own little gray area that he's in. I don't even know if I'd call him an anti-hero. He's one of those opportunists where But are they painting him in a more positive light? I guess not, because if he's fist fighting, Right. All jokes aside, I've never hit a woman. I feel like I should clarify that since I put it on the radio. But so with that being said, I guess it does kind of show that he's not the perfect good guy. But I was just wondering because I saw it in Suicide Squad with Deadshot, where they took a guy and really, really good guyed him up for the movie. Hardcore. And I wasn't sure if they were doing that for this Rebirth with Deathstroke, or if they were keeping it.
He's still more of a gray area. And sorry guys, I fucked up. I forgot to give my grade of number 3 Justice League Rebirth.
Ooh.
2.9 out of 5. That's a little new to this. I'm trying to incorporate it more. Be a little bit more professional for my listener. Hey, RJ.
Can't say their names. No.
And but yeah, with this issue of Deathstroke, we see Deathstroke the father, the husband, and the hired killer. And this chess game that he ends up being engaged with to take out the mastermind of who was trying to set him up.
Okay, so this is a set-up vengeance sort of situation.
It was a double cross on a double cross. It's like,
is that
an 8 cross?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how does that work? Does that make it a triple cross, or does it multiply? Is that a quadruple cross?
Well, if Ryan Reynolds can say that a fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break is 16 walls, we'll go with 8.
All right. There it is. Comic math with Lou.
Bam. So shall it be.
It is written.
There we go. I gave the Deathstroke number 1 of the Unlimited series a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. He's beating Justice League all by himself out here.
He's typically good for that. There are very few characters that can pull that shit off. Deathstroke, Deadshot, and Batman are like those 3 people.
Yeah, well, Batman also is the main reason to check into the Justice League. I think
he's the brains behind.
I'm gonna leave my personal vendetta with the Justice League out of it for now.
Fair enough.
Worthless group. What?
Who said that?
Batman's better. Just make it a Batman and Robin comic.
Honestly, I think Justice League is pretty much going to shape up to Batman working things out with Cyborg all the time.
Yeah, I think especially in the MCU, or not the MCU. Sorry, the DCU.
Sorry, fanboys everywhere.
The DCCU. Well, hey, you know what? If they made better movies, I wouldn't get them mistaken.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding. That was my little underhand diss. But I feel like that in the movie universe, I could definitely see the way things have gone for DC so far, that if they don't end up making the Justice League just Batman and Friends, that they're going to pay. They're going to pay for it. People are still going to go see these movies regardless, but it's unfortunate. But also, it's the Justice League. Some things just get outgrown, I feel at this point, I feel like the Justice League is just an attempt to keep Aquaman and Wonder Woman relevant. And like I said, I wish Aquaman could be relevant on his own. We don't seem to give a shit about him.
Right.
Wonder Woman, I could also, she probably should be more relevant, but I don't particularly care. It's the same sort of thing, an old mythology brought into our modern comics, and so just for that, for that reason alone, I'd like to see her.
Definitely, and that's people tend to forget that the whole Super Friends of America thing, okay, that was supposed to represent the League of Nations. And the Justice League of America represents the UN now.
Yeah. Yeah, there are people who just were like, wait, what? What's the League of... You meant to say the United Nations, Lou. No, I'm just...
Right. And that's why I made the joke in the Batman versus Crapper Man. Your mom's name is Martha? My mom's name is Martha. Did we just become super friends? Because that's what Justice League was before there was a Justice League, it was the Super Friends.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and then so Justice League, they're trying to stay alive, but Deathstroke seems to be thriving. He liked his
I'm looking
his
forward
piece
to it.
better. So
I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to the rebirth of Cyborg. That's someone that I've through Teen Titans, the old Teen Titans show, got acquainted with, and I like him. And I'm looking forward to learning more about him. I know his origin story was that he was in a terrible accident, and his father brought him back to life with the cybernetic components. That's how he became Cyborg.
And my personal acquaintance with Cyborg happened again because of Injustice, the video game. He was an integral part of that video game with the parallel timelines and stuff like that, and it was pretty cool. And so that was a good display of what he could actually do. He does some very interesting things.
He does. He's a genius.
And he's going to be the guy.
Stone.
Yeah, he's going to be the guy that can hold back. The only one in there really that can probably hold Batman's jock outside of Superman, just because he's an alien.
Well, but Superman has always kind of been a meathead.
Yes.
He's not the brightest Justice Leaguer. You know, Superman's strength is his brute strength.
Yeah,
and the fact that he just doesn't go down a lot.
He's like the Thor.
Why do you think Lois Lane doesn't like him so much?
That's why she keeps Clark around.
That's why she keeps Brucey around.
He's got those glasses, you know. Those dudes with glasses, we try harder.
Don't we, though? Don't we? Look at 12 Ways from Sunday, baby.
Now you know.
If you guys saw the look on Kevin's face, you would see how uncomfortable that poor bastard was.
I'm not necessarily uncomfortable. I just don't think there's a lot of ladies listening right now. So
Probably not.
Your inbox might be interesting. You might get some interesting fanboy messages this week.
Unlike the joke I make, I don't actually go both ways like a barn door.
Oh. People rapidly deleting messages sent to you right now.
Maybe.
So did we get an update on the Days of Our Lives version of the Green Arrow?
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to see Team Arrow come back into effect, I believe.
More of his, but I meant like with his are they still playing, like, is it is the love angle still pretty like, is he?
I'll put it this way.
Is there anything else I can make fun of him for this week? Was what I was tiptoeing around.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay. The thing about Green Arrow is, in a lot of ways, the whole Green Arrow Black Canary thing is a lot like Spider-Man and Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat.
Spider-Man gets it in.
He does, dude. All three of them bitches is bad bitches. Mary Jane Watson. Oh shit.
Gwen Stacy.
Mm-hmm. And Felicia Hardy.
Bye, Felicia.
And that's probably, I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean that's part of the fun for him. Getting his spider webbing wet.
Oh, that would hands down be the biggest perk to being a superhero, I would think. Although, you know,
Deadpool said best himself, superheroes pull down a gaggle of ass.
It's a great instance of use. You don't hear that word used in that context very often, and I enjoy it.
Like Google. You know, Googleplex is a term to describe a quantity. Google, it's like everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every day's a school day.
It is. When you open your mind to learning. Just power, knowledge is power. Yeah, we even did the little dance. You didn't see it because, well...
Video coming soon.
Yeah.
That's why.
Now, do you mind if I throw this teaser in? I told you about this Romulus series coming out, right?
Well, nobody likes a tease except for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good tease, and I also love anything referring to the Roman Empire. So let's hear about some Romulus.
This is actually more of a current theme.
All right.
That our world isn't free, and that for generations we have lived under the secret control of the ancient order of Romulus. I know I've only mentioned this to you in passing, but I was hoping you would be interested in doing a different one because there's only like 4 issues. So I think it'd be fun for us to talk about this and comparing it to our modern society. And then there's another one that I'm going to do that it's Britannia. And this actually does go back to the Roman Empire. It's the world's, they claim the world's first detective is about to make an unholy discovery. And I look very forward to that. I like the whole Roman Empire vibe.
I am incredibly interested in both those stories. Romulus
Excellent.
sounds great because it doesn't. In my point of view, it doesn't even seem that fictional. It sounds like that will be a great one to get our normal BDG flavor into the comic realm. This is something that is something we could talk about.
Oh, definitely.
On the other channel. So that's wonderful. I look forward to doing some Romulus reviews then. And again, you guys that are listening, check in on Twitter and Facebook to see. We'll let you know when we get that episode put together.
Just to throw this out there, Britannia, number 1 of the 4, well, the 4-shot series, I should say, is being published by Valiant Comics. And the Romulus 4-shot is being published by Image, which is actually, I believe Image is an offshoot of DC.
Very
or no.
Cool.
One of them is. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Offshoot of DC, more occultness from the DC world. They're throwing it in there.
Definitely.
Slapping those symbols on you. It's always makes for some good entertainment.
But yeah. I think that's going to wrap it up for us. I'll just do a little quick recap of these scores, for lack of a better term. Or
yeah, give him your judge's card.
Nightwing number 3, 3.5 out of 5. Green Arrow number 5, 3.2 out of 5. Justice League number 3, 2.9 out of 5. And Deathstroke number 1 of the Unlimited series, 3 out of 5.
Overall passing grades.
Yeah.
For everyone but the Justice League. No. Justice League, you get a D-. Get your shit together.
Right? Start turning your homework in on time. And that's going to do us. So how about you let us do you? Catch you later, buddies.